Today we are counting down the top 10 NHL prospects. And, spoiler alert, you're looking at this article from Sportsnet.ca published by Jason Bukala. It's the top 32 prospects not yet in the NHL. So already there's a little bit of fuss over here. But what I wanted to do was take a look at this piece that was published a week ago, dive into the top 10 out of these top 32, and talk about them here in a video. You see, 32 names is a lot. We would have to spend like 20 seconds on each name if we wanted to get this video around the 10-minute mark. So let's just do 10 instead, focus a minute per prospect, and already I've killed off 43 seconds in this video, so let's get going here. Here are the top 10 prospects not yet in the NHL according to scouts and their analysis. The first one is James Hagens, a left shot center for the Boston Bruins. He recently signed a tryout agreement with the Bruins AHL affiliate in Providence. He projects as a top 6 NHL forward. Hagens' most elite element is clearly his offensive upside. The former Boston College standout completed his sophomore season this year and finished 10th in the NCAA scoring race with 23 goals and 24 assists for 47 points in 34 games. Now, that's kind of selling James Hagens short, honestly. The guy is a wizard, a cerebral tactician, a speedster, and a two-way center. A guy who has been so good, both in the Boston College system and at the World Junior tournaments. He actually ended up suiting up for the Boston Bruins, scoring his first assist in his first NHL game the other day. But Hagens, after a point-per-game season last year and a way over points-per-game season this year, really does live up to the scouting report, talking about how he has been the best part of the hockey world zeitgeist from a young age. A fluid skater who is light on his edges, leveraging full-range wingspan handling, high activity rate crossovers, and a motor to create constant advantages. Hagens is going to be a very good prospect for the Boston Bruins. Now, he's the number 1 prospect. Let's go over to number 2. You've got a double whammy of Montreal Canadiens, guys. Number 2 is Alexander Zharovsky, a left shot winger for the Canadiens, and number 3 is Michael Hage, a right shot center for the Canadiens. Zharovsky has a chance to become the steal of the 2025 draft. The Canadiens selected the uber-talented forward in the second round last year in LA. He'll need to continue adding strength to his frame, but he produced 16 goals and 26 assists in the KHL this season, playing for Salavat Yuleyev Ufa. Meanwhile, Michael Hage projects to be the Canadiens' second-line center of the future, and that future could arrive as soon as this weekend. Oh man, sorry Bukala, but it did not. His season did indeed end in the NCAA Frozen Four. Hage is completing his sophomore season with the Wolverines, finishing tied for 4th in NCAA scoring this year, also contributing 26 goals and 59 assists in his first 2 college campaigns. Alexander Zharovsky is a guy who still doesn't have a profile picture on Elite Prospects, and it's unfair. The guy went out there with 42 points in 59 games played in the KHL this season. He's only 19 years old. He's very skilled. He's a dangler. He's an offensive guy. Yes, there are elements off the puck that he will need to work on, but for a guy taken in the second round, especially as a guy that Montreal supposedly would have been interested in taking in the first round, Zharovsky's been a pretty fire prospect. And then you have Michael Hage, whom we've been speaking about this entire time, ever since the announcement was made by Dreger that the Canadiens apparently had a top 6 spot open for Hage right away. He's electing to go back to Michigan. He wants to really tighten things down and get a solid junior season before he becomes a pro. Canadiens fans will have to wait a little bit before Michael Hage suits up in the bleu, blanc et rouge. Going over to number 4 and number 5, we've got some other dual-team prospects. The 4th overall name is Tij Iginla, left-shot winger out of the Mammoth. And number 5 is Caleb Desnoyers, a left-shot center out of the Mammoth. Tij Iginla had a fantastic regular season playing for the Memorial Cup host Kelowna Rockets. He is a big-time shooter who produced 41 goals and 49 assists in only 48 regular season games. In Kelowna's first-round victory over Kamloops in the Dub playoffs, he contributed 10 points in the 4-game sweep. Tij Iginla is the kind of player who elevates his overall game at the hardest time of the year. The apple didn't fall far from the tree when comparing him to his father, former NHL star Jarome Iginla. That makes sense, man. That does. Utah, like Montreal, is a team on the rise. They have an embarrassment of depth in their prospect pool. Caleb Desnoyers projects as a top 6 center who can be deployed in a variety of roles. He produces offense without sacrificing detail defensively. Desnoyers finished the regular season plus 36, which speaks to his commitment in all 3 zones. Man, did they really just use his plus-minus as a positive element of his game? I mean, I guess it works, but still. Tij Iginla is an absolute monster. He had really upped his point producing this year, really putting it to shame anybody who questioned his top status earlier in his draft career. But ultimately, as Tij Iginla was taken in 2024, he was always a pretty highly productive forward ever since his draft-eligible campaign. But he's going to be a stud for the Utah Mammoth. Same could be said about Caleb Desnoyers going out there in the QMJHL as one of the top point producers as well. Both of these guys had some pretty good World Junior Showcase numbers, and Utah Mammoth fans, y'all got to be happy to see what Desnoyers and Iginla have been doing early on in their careers. 6th overall, you have yourselves Ilya Protas, a left-shot winger out of the Washington Capitals. Protas, like Zharovsky, is a shining example of a prospect who was selected later than others on this list, but is tracking towards an impactful NHL career. The Caps selected Protas in the 3rd round in 2024. They already had Ilya's brother Alexei in the fold and have to be excited about Ilya's development to date. The 6'5", 201-pound winger has contributed 28 goals and 34 assists at the AHL level, playing for the Hershey Bears this year after ending his OHL career with the Spitfires and producing 124 points in 2025. He makes this list just in time as his NHL debut is expected to happen against Toronto Wednesday night. Now, for Ilya Protas, he did make his NHL debut, and I believe he's actually gotten some points as well. 4 points in 3 games for the young Protas, on the same team with his older brother Alexei. If you're a fantasy hockey nerd, you've probably seen what Alexei Protas has done this season. This guy has been a maniac. 52 points this year, 66 points last year, and his younger brother Ilya is, if I'm not mistaken, bigger. Oh no, Alexei is 6'6", Ilya is 6'5". These guys are going to terrorize the Metro Division long term. Ilya Protas is going to be a stud net front presence. He's a playmaker. He can play on the left. He can do whatever he needs to do to get on the board. And you can say the same thing about some of these other guys over here. Number 7 is Yegor Surin, left shot center out of the Nashville Predators. They have a top-flight prospect on the horizon in Surin. His combination of size and skill project him as a potential top 6 center. It should be noted he can also play wing, so Nashville has flexibility in how to slot him into their lineup. He is skilled and hard to play against, contributing 15 goals and 22 assists, playing for Lokomotiv Yaroslavl in the KHL this season. Yegor Surin was taken in the 22nd overall spot in the 2024 NHL Entry Draft, and he has slowly been upgrading his production from the Junior Russian League to the main KHL, also producing more points this season. There's a lot to like out of Yegor Surin, a heavy hitter, a power forward, a puck handler, a guy who can drive down the middle so nicely. He's going to be a presence to make known of with the Nashville Predators organization. Speaking about presences, let's skip over 8 and go over to 9, because on 9, you have Viktor Eklund out of the New York Islanders system, a guy who has made his way over to North America after his season ended playing in Sweden's top league with Djurgården. He is a relentless competitor who always seems to be around to play. His combination of speed, skill, and work ethic project Eklund as a top 6 winger at the NHL level. In his first 4 games playing for Bridgeport at the AHL, he's contributed 6 assists. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Viktor Eklund's pretty good, and considering he produced 24 points in 43 games in the SHL as a 19-year-old, the fact that he's come over into the developmental AHL league and been over a point per game so far really bodes well for Eklund in his future. What a great trade made by the New York Islanders to get the draft picks that became Eklund and Kashawn Aitchison for Noah Dobson. Montreal sends their props. But the reason I wanted to skip number 8 was because number 8 and number 10 are both Detroit Red Wings guys, and they're guys that we have been talking about a bunch over the past few days. The 8th overall prospect, according to Sportsnet, is Trey Augustine, a left-catching goaltender out of the Detroit Red Wings. He was arguably the most dominant goalie in the NCAA during his 3 years in Michigan State. The Wings recently signed Augustine to his ELC, which will begin next season, after his junior year ended, and he is in line to compete to become the future number 1 puck stopper of Detroit. He ended up winning the Mike Richter Award after posting a 24-9-1 record, 208 goals against, and a .922 save percentage. Now, it is unfortunate that these numbers are actually a little bit worse compared to what some of the other top goalies in the NCAA had been able to accomplish in previous years, but it seems like save percentages in the league are going down too, so hey, he ended up winning anyways, and now Augustine is getting a cup of coffee in the AHL, so good for him. And number 10 is Detroit Red Wings left shot winger Hobey Baker champion Max Plante. Another prospect on this list who was selected outside the first round, the Wings calling his name 47th overall at the 2024 draft. Plante plays the game fast. He's a threat off the rush and is very competitive. As of now, it appears Plante will be heading back to Minnesota Duluth for his junior season next year. He produced 25 goals and 27 assists in 40 games this past season and ended up winning the Hobey Baker Award. So Max Plante rounds out the top 10 from a second-round draft pick to a top 10 prospect not in the NHL. I'd say that's pretty good. Detroit Red Wings fans, let me know your thoughts in the comments. How do you feel about Augustine and Plante, their inclusion on this list? How do you feel if you're a Boston fan that James Hagens is the number 1 guy? And if you're a Canadiens guy, thoughts on Zharovsky and Hage being in the top 3 as well. Mammoth fans are eating well with Iginla and Desnoyers. Protas, you gotta be happy if you're a Caps fan seeing that brotherly connection. And then you have even more Russian prosperity coming into Nashville with Yegor Surin, not to mention Viktor Eklund and the Swedish love coming into New York. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about this top 10 prospects list? We made it to 12 minutes, so I'm pretty happy about that. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.